Hey, it's Shallalla with the fifth part of Creativity Coach Reacts to Lady Gaga, the Chromatica interview with Zane Lowe. I rewatched the last part and I noticed that something slipped my attention, so I'd like to go back just a half minute and look at that.
When I first started talking about this album, I would cry like in between every interview. And now
hmm I would cry in between every interview. That was the thing that I wanted to look at because to me that stresses her humanity once again. And we talked about this. I think that her struggle to be seen as a real person is omnipresent. And also, secondly, the concept of working deeply, of actually going where it hurts. It's something that a lot of artists shy away from. And actually, they may fare quite well, like on a proven recipe, but they miss something. And Lady Gaga definitely joins the ranks of the really brave and courageous artists. She's inviting her tears and inviting pain and anxieties. And if you're stuck with your work, with your art, then try to go deeper. Like try to bear with that queasiness. Keep breathing and keep going.
I go, well, it turns out if you believe in yourself, sometimes you're good enough. And it turns out that's possible. And I would love for people that listen to this record to feel and hear that. And I also wish to say that, not every country around the world, not every place has at their disposal what many of the things that we are talking about, pop cultural constructs, internet constructs, political constructs that pertain specifically to America or certain types of governments. But what we do share is life experiences. And what I can share is that if there is even a tiny spark inside of you that is still alive and beating and saying, hey, I'm okay, everything else isn't, but right over here, this part, it's okay, grab it. Grab it and hold on to it. And it is possible that if you do, it will light you up in a way that you do not think you can be lit up. It will bring you back to life if you believe in.
This is really important. I'm not a psychologist, yet my buffet philosophy allows me to take wisdom wherever I find it. And what Gaga just described is positive psychology. Positive psychology looks at the things that are actually working, that are good in your life. And if you are in a very difficult situation, that might only be a spark. Like she said, this one spark over here, this is working, and so hold on to that spark and grow from there. Just celebrate what's working, um, even if it is just getting out of bed and taking a shower or putting on your favorite song to change your mood. These things count, and you can actually combine that with a gratitude journal, like we talked about. Express your gratitude about this one spark of aliveness, and every time that you hold on to that spark, you'll heal like a bit more.
Yourself. And it's really hard to always believe in yourself. But I hope that I can make people feel in some type of way that because I did, maybe they can too.
Yeah, because I did, maybe they can too. That's like the 4-minute mile concept. Somebody did it, somebody proved that it is possible, that healing is possible. So it might be possible for me as well.
Well, you started out trying to heal everybody, but then you ended up right back staring at yourself. And what's amazing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Zane, as usual, he's really amazing and he grasps what's going on. Um, by healing, so she wanted to heal everybody else, which did not work. So instead, she looked at herself and started healing herself. And by healing herself, she actually started to heal the people around her. And it's this now she's creating from this healed point, and is offering us so much. It's like the full circle of healing.
And this may be the most personal question I've ever asked you, but I think it's a beautiful thing where you're at, and I'm going to go there. One of the things that's most evident to us when we find clarity is the decisions we made in our lives and the way that we self-sabotage in order to punish ourselves.
Yeah.
And we make dumb decisions because we don't know any better, and we think we're dumb, and that's what we deserve. And they're decisions that get made right across the whole spectrum of your life. But it's a human desire to be loved and to love.
Yeah.
And now that you've come out the other side of making this album, you are in a situation where you're discovering a new love. Can you describe how it feels and how different it is knowing yourself better now?
I think I forgive myself. I forgive myself for all the ways I've punished myself in private. You know, I've been open about the fact that I, used to cut. And I've been open about the fact that have had masochistic tendencies that are not healthy, and they're ways of expressing shame, they're ways of expressing feeling not good enough, but actually they're not effective. They just make you feel worse. And
Yeah, well said. These things that we do to temporarily lift our pain, whether it's cutting or drinking or bad relationships, they are not effective in the long run. They have an effect, yes, otherwise we would not fall for them because we're not stupid. But it's only like for the tiniest of moments. And in the long run, they make things worse. And therapy and coaching can actually show you different ways, more effective ways of dealing with pain. When we're going back to our meaning vocabulary, it might help you to think of alcohol, drugs, and everything else that people get addicted to. Try to think of them as a meaning substitute. For one moment, like for the second, that high that they offer, that high lets us make meaningful. But it is only a substitute, and you, in the long run, you will need like the real deal, you will need the real meaning to feel better, and never accept a short-term solution for a long-term problem. And I really need a haircut, but Germany is on a hard lockdown and hairdressers are closed until the end of the month. So, sorry.
you think that you deserve to be hurt, and you think that you don't deserve good things. You think you don't deserve happiness. And, I have these like scars on my wrists, and like it's been something that's kind of bothered me for years when I've seen when I was younger. I don't really read the internet anymore, to be honest, but when I was younger, I would see people write like those scars on her arm are disgusting. And that makes you feel even worse because it makes no sense why someone that feels sad would want to hurt themselves. And to a lot of people, that makes no sense. To me, it makes a lot of sense. Once I made deals with myself, like you're not doing that anymore. Now, when you want to hurt yourself and if you want to throw yourself against the wall, like, and scream, you tell someone. I wish to not glamorize this in any way to anyone that's listening to this interview or watching this interview. You do not need to hurt yourself or be crazy to be a superstar. You don't.
I'm really grateful that she says that, because we have this notion that artists have to be crazy, acting out and taking drugs, sleeping around, etc. And that is just not true. Yeah, it is true that a lot of artists have problems with addictions of all varieties. And to quote my teacher, Eric Meisel, he speaks of the intense aliveness that artists are born with. And actually, let me know in the comments what that concept means to you, intense aliveness, because I've had amazing conversations spring up from that concept. Um, the intense aliveness is in itself its ground for addiction. That's actually something that every artist has to learn to deal with the intensity, and that's even more important, the lack of that intensity. So if you feel like you want to be an artist, but you don't want to cut off your ear or something gruesome like that, let me assure you, it is quite possible to be healthy and live a happy life, monogamous even, if that's your style, and be an artist. That is possible.
Don't have to hurt yourself to feel better, even though, like, yeah, temporarily you think it's going to cut the pain off that's going on in your brain. It lasts 2 seconds. The harder thing to do is to ask for help and
Yes. I cannot stress this enough. Ask for help. And you don't even have to wait until it is really bad. There's so much help available right now. It might be like in the form of a YouTube video, or a book, or therapy, or coaching. The help you need is out there. Just ask and stay on it as long as it takes, until you find something that works for you.
tell someone. To answer your question in long form, these are some of the things that I've been through. And then I stopped and I forgave myself eventually. But I think I forgave myself because I decided that I was human, and that made me feel better. I was like, oh, I'm doing this incredibly human thing, even though I feel like a plastic doll.
It is an interesting phenomenon that a lot of artists, if not all of them, suffer from. Like this, we see the artist and not the human. And that is at first something that the artist actually wants. See me as an artist, see my art. In German, we have the word and the concept of Kunstfigur, which translates to artistic persona. And Kunst, German for art, shares a root with künstlich, artificial, as do art and artificial. And I find that highly interesting because otherwise these words are so different, Kunst, art, and yet both point to artificial. And artist in German is actually Künstler, which sounds even more like künstlich, artificial. And this fight to be seen as a person and not as something artificial is so prevalent that it is built into the language itself.
Look at me, I'm so fucking human.
And now you're able to feel, love, and be loved, right? And know
Yes.
what it feels like and not try to burn it down because you don't
No.
deserve it.
No, when love, when that word gets bigger, when you love someone, and somebody like me, that usually inspires, like what we were saying in the beginning, the unconscious to go, don't do it, you're gonna get hurt, don't love, you don't deserve love, look at all the weird shit you've done, look how you've acted, look at what I used to say was crazy behavior that I now have extreme compassion for, not only myself, but other people who experience this. That L, as it gets bigger, as I love someone more, I am internally being yelled at by a voice that is buried inside of me. And it's hard, but it's worth fighting for. You know, one of my favorite lyrics on this album is, every single day, yeah, I dig a grave, then I sit inside it wondering if I'll behave. It's a game I play, and I hate to say you're the worst thing and the best thing that's happened to me. All this stuff.
Don't you just love her ability to express all these things and these things that are going on in her head, and put them into lyrics and images that you can relate to, and put these words to dance music and make us dance. I feel that her struggle, and more than that, her healing, is such a gift to us.
That made me start the album with "Could You Pull Me Out of This Alive," right?
Yep.
All that stuff, that's exactly the stuff that pointed to my humanity. It's exactly the stuff that pointed to my ability to make music. It's exactly the stuff that brought me back to who I am. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Zane, is if you're listening to this album and you're suffering in any type of way, just know that that suffering within itself is a sign of your humanity, and you are not broken. You are connected to the whole world, and we are one giant body. We are one full entity, and the whole you is having a whole human experience. And there might be parts of your life that feel like completely shallow or robotic or ancillary and unimportant, and that's okay. But that suffering is a sign that you're real, and it's a way to ground yourself. Like, I've actually
Art is historically a way to connect. When you're reading a book or listening to music and you think, I know exactly what that feels like, you're connected. You don't feel that alone anymore. You're not utterly alone anymore, because you know there was another human being who experienced what I am experiencing. And so you might say that an artist's job is actually to feel their feelings and clothe them into a media of their choice, music, poetry, paintings, etc. And that is actually why artists need to feel their feelings. They need to feel them like as raw and direct and intense as possible. And in a sense, because they are feeling your feelings as well. And we're kind of coming back to the concept of intense aliveness.
learned that when I feel that way, I can go, well, I'm a person, and this is very real, and I'm human. And even though for many years, because I've changed my hair color or my looks or my wigs or my outfits, I have somehow allowed myself to have a life where I've given the narrative away and it's been written for me.
I was wondering, like a few minutes ago, whether the struggle to be seen as human is actually the same as giving away the narrative. And I think it is. Owning her narrative, I believe, is synonymous to owning her humanity.
I can actually take it back by saying, no, I'm a human, and I go
That's
through
what this
very
is.
human things all the time.
That's what this album is. This album is a reclaiming of the dance floor. You know, you opened it and now you're reclaiming it and it's yours, and you can dance all night if you want, right? Without people interrupting your flow. And that's what's really euphoric about this experience. And you had to go through that pain to get there, but I'm glad you're back there, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, I got back there, and also while I'm dancing now, I'm dancing with my dad, not for my dad. You know what I mean?
This one sentence, I'm dancing with my dad, not for my dad. That is her healing in a nutshell. Remember, we talked about the way that the ways we react to danger, and how entertaining a parent to change their mood is exactly that. And then there was Joanne, this beautiful album that gave so much to so many people, and yet didn't manage to heal her father's trauma. And hearing her say that she's not dancing for him anymore, but with him, this makes me extremely happy and proud. Proud of her, her inability to give up and her strength. And it also gives me a ton of hope, and I hope it gives that to you as well, because healing is possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, everything's different. I'm not performing to fix anything. I'm living my destiny, which is to give gifts to the world. And I truly believe that that's what I'm meant to do. And I know you know.
My destiny is to give gifts to the world, and I truly believe that's what I meant to do. I believe that is something that artists feel universally. And this is one of the reasons why rejection letters and the like, they hurt so much, because people don't want your gifts. And yet your gifts are your destiny, as Gaga put it. So you feel rejected. You feel rejected. It's with your whole being. Your whole being is rejected. And if you want to survive rejection, you need to separate your being from your art. And that is actually something that is very easy to say and easy to understand, like with your mind, but it's so hard emotionally. Yet, if you want to survive as an artist, you need to come to terms with rejection. There's no way around.
Like I do believe in God. I don't believe in God the way that, maybe through art throughout history it's been portrayed, but I believe in a higher force. And I used to talk to Blood Pop about it. There's a theory that the whole world was created by a feminine sound wave, and that feminine sound wave actually saw what they thought was their father below them and fell to be with their father, but it was actually a reflection from behind them. So they fell into an abyss and broke into two, and that then there were two galaxies that were born, and one was good and one was evil, and that the evil one is the one where evil things pretended to be God. And then we believed in them and we divided, and then we started to argue and hate each other. And that is the world that I believe I live on. But that my understanding of God actually is that it's a sign. I believe God began as a sound.
A sign from
I was tempted to talk about mythology just a few sentences ago, and I decided against it. But now, after she just shared that lovely creation myth with us, I want to go there. Mythology is a great thing to look at when you feel disconnected. You might have heard the name Joseph Campbell, or the concept of the hero's journey. Campbell wrote a book about 70 years ago that's called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And in it, he compares myths from all over the world, from Russian folklore to African tales to Indian stories of gods. He looked at every type of story that he could find. And you know what he found? He found a backbone. He found a universal skeleton that you can identify in all of these stories. That concept was boiled down, mostly by Hollywood, into the hero's journey, and that is actually a topic I can talk about for hours. And I'm stopping myself right here. But if you're looking for a way to feel more connected, give mythology a try.
above. And I got you in trouble, by the way. Full disclosure, I may have
I got you in trouble. I think that is like the perfect cliffhanger to end this part with, because that 10 minutes are up. And thank you very much for watching. If you want the sixth and final part of this series, hit the like button, because as usual, one more time. Thank you very much for watching. And as usual, if you want the sixth part, which would actually be the last part, hit the like button. As soon as we get 100 likes, I will produce it for you. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.